the Hollow Road. They say the road only appears once a year, on Halloween night, after midnight. Locals in Raven County call it the Hollow Road. A long, cracked stretch of asphalt that cuts through endless woods, connecting nothing to nowhere. No GPS shows it. No map marks it. And yet, if you drive long enough past the last streetlight, it somehow finds you. 3 friends found it. Ryan, the confident one. Sophie, the skeptic. And Dylan, the one who always filmed everything. They were out that Halloween night, driving through the back roads of Virginia, recording spooky spots for their small YouTube channel. The idea was simple: exploring haunted roads of America. They'd done dozens before. Nothing ever happened. Until that night. It was 12:41 a.m. when they turned off Route 13. Dylan's phone camera caught the moment. "Yo, this isn't on GPS," he said. "Exactly why we're here," Ryan replied with a grin, pushing the car deeper into the woods. The trees grew thicker, their branches stretching like claws into the headlights. The air turned heavy, almost suffocating. Sophie leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Ryan, the road's curving weird. You see that?" He didn't answer. The asphalt ahead shimmered like heat distortion, except it was freezing outside. The radio hissed, flickered between static and faint whispers. A soft voice broke through, "Turn back." Dylan froze. "Yo, did you hear that?" Ryan smirked. "Probably interference." But Sophie wasn't laughing anymore. The road ahead split into 3 identical paths, all swallowed by dark fog. Ryan chose the middle one. Minutes passed. No other cars. No houses. Just fog. Dylan's camera screen glitched, static dancing across the image. Then they saw it, a rusted sign half fallen on the side of the road. The letters were carved deep into the metal: "Welcome to Hollow Road." The words looked carved from the inside out, as if someone had scratched their way through the steel. Sophie whispered, "Ryan, stop the car." The headlights swept over the trees, revealing dozens of pumpkins lining both sides of the road. But these weren't decorations. Each pumpkin had a face carved in agony, twisted mouths, hollow eyes leaking thick black tar. Dylan leaned closer with the camera. "Oh my God, bro, these are moving." The pumpkins' mouths twitched, slowly, like they were breathing. Something landed on the roof. A soft thud. Then again, louder. Thud. Ryan slammed the brakes. Silence filled the air, broken only by a low hum that seemed to vibrate beneath their skin. Sophie, shaking, opened the sunroof to peek, and screamed. A pale human face was pressed against the glass. The lips were stitched shut. Black fluid dripped from the seams. Ryan hit the gas, the tires screaming. The body rolled off into the fog, disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. Sophie's voice shook. What the hell was that? But Ryan didn't respond. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Because the road wasn't ending. No matter how long they drove, it looped back to the same stretch. Same pumpkins. Same rusted sign. They were trapped. It was 1:13 a.m. when Dylan checked his camera footage. The video showed them driving, screaming, and behind them, in every frame, a tall, thin figure walked slowly through the fog. It wore a deer skull mask. Dylan's breath caught. "Bro, it's following us." Ryan turned off the car. The headlights died. The forest fell silent. Then, faintly, from somewhere in the mist, came a whisper. "Leave your faces behind," Sophie began to cry. "Ryan, please, let's get out." Another voice cut through the fog, deeper, closer. "You can't leave once you've been seen." The driver's door opened on its own. Ryan was yanked out, dragged screaming into the dark. His voice vanished in seconds. Dylan pointed his camera toward the sound. The footage shook violently, static bursting across the screen. Through the viewfinder, he saw Ryan standing still on the road. But when he looked up, Ryan wasn't there. Only his face was. Hanging from a tree branch. The clock read 1:40 a.m. when Dylan and Sophie ran into the woods. The fog followed, thick and alive. The trees seemed to breathe, their bark bleeding dark sap. Behind them came slow, heavy footsteps, crunching leaves, one at a time. Sophie tripped. Dylan turned to help her, but she was being dragged backward by unseen hands. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. Her skin peeled away like paper, revealing a glowing orange surface beneath. Her face was changing, twisting, until a carved pumpkin grin stared back at him. The fog swallowed her whole. Dylan ran until the trees ended. The road was gone. Only an open field stretched before him, under cold, distant stars. He collapsed, trembling, his camera still recording. When morning came, a farmer found him alone, muttering the same phrase over and over, "Don't take the middle road, don't take the middle road." The police never found Ryan or Sophie. But every Halloween night since, one new pumpkin appears on that road, with a face that looks eerily like someone missing from town. And if you ever find yourself driving late at night, somewhere far from home, and your GPS suddenly cuts out, look at the trees. If you see a glowing pumpkin whose eyes follow you, turn around. Before you're carved next. It had been 1 year since the Raven County disappearances. Every October, people whispered about the road that didn't exist, the pumpkins that breathed, and the boy who was found mumbling about the middle road. Police files labeled it an unsolved case. The locals called it a curse. I was never one to believe in curses. My name's Evan Hale, and I'm a field reporter for a paranormal podcast called Hidden Frequencies. We cover the weird, ghost towns, cold spots, haunted highways. So when the story of the Hollow Road resurfaced, I packed my recorder, camera, and drove down to Raven County. The town was small, quiet, pretending to move on. But there was something heavy in the air. Every shop window had Halloween decorations, yet no one looked happy about it. When I mentioned the road, conversations stopped. I started away. Only one man agreed to talk, an old sheriff named Thomas Reed. His badge was rusted, uniform faded, but his stare was sharp. "Kid," he said, "you don't go looking for that place. It finds you when it wants. Every year, one fool goes missing. Don't make yourself the next headline." I asked about the boy they found, Dylan Hayes. The sheriff sighed. "Dylan disappeared 2 months after we pulled him out. Said he heard voices calling him back. His mother found his shoes on the porch. No footprints leading away. That was enough to hook me." October 31st, 11:58 p.m. The night was colder than I expected. The stars hid behind clouds, and the road stretched endlessly into the dark. My GPS froze on searching route, and the signal dropped to 0. Midnight hit. A thin fog rolled over the fields, and ahead of me, there it was. A narrow stretch of cracked asphalt splitting into 3 identical paths. The one in the middle looked smoother, freshly paved. My heart pounded. I turned on the recorder. "This is Evan Hale. I've found it. I took the middle road." The air changed instantly. The radio hissed, then whispered a name, mine. Evan. I froze. The temperature dropped, breath visible in the cabin. My headlight swept across the trees, and I saw them, pumpkins again, lined perfectly along the edge, their carved faces faintly glowing from within. They looked newer. Fresher. I stepped out of the car, camera rolling. The air smelled like smoke and wet soil. One of the pumpkins had something inside, cloth. A torn piece of denim. I pulled it out and recognized it from the police photo archives. Dylan's jacket. Something rustled in the trees. A voice whispered behind me. "You came back." I spun around. No one. Just fog. When I turned again, my car's headlights flickered, and a figure stood in front of them. Tall, thin, wearing a deer skull mask. The same shape Dylan had captured in his footage. I raised my camera, zoomed in. The lens glitched with static. The figure tilted its head, the antlers scraping against the roof of the car. Then the whisper came again, closer, clearer. "Leave your face behind." I ran. The road stretched forever. Every turn led back to the same place. My watch spun, frozen at 12:17 a.m. I shouted, but the sound was swallowed by fog. Then I saw something glowing ahead, a lantern. A girl stood beside it, barefoot, wearing a blood-stained dress. Her skin was pale as paper, and her smile too wide. "Evan," she said softly. "We've been waiting." It was Sophie. Her eyes were hollow, black, and endless. Behind her, faint shapes moved, dozens of them, faces carved like pumpkins, hollow light flickering inside. One of them wore Ryan's jacket. I stumbled back, whispering, "You're dead." Sophie smiled wider. "No. We're harvested." The ground beneath me split open. The road pulsed like flesh. I fell to my knees, the air vibrating with hundreds of whispers, "Join us, join us." I looked up. The skull-masked figure stood above me, holding something dripping in its hand. My camera. He leaned closer, the hollow sockets inches from my face. "This road remembers every soul that touches it," he murmured. "And now it remembers you." The fog consumed everything. I woke up at dawn, lying beside my car in a cornfield miles away. My clothes were soaked in mud, my camera cracked, memory card missing. The road was gone, no trace of asphalt, no pumpkins, just grass. I drove straight back to town. Sheriff Reed was waiting. When he saw me, his face went pale. "Evan," he said quietly, "it's over. The hollow road only lets one return each year. Next Halloween, it'll come back, and someone else will go missing." I handed him the camera. The red light was still blinking. Somehow, it had been recording the whole time. He pressed play. Static filled the screen. Then my voice, whispering words I didn't remember saying. "Don't follow the middle road, it's hungry." The sheriff closed the file and turned off the camera. We both heard it then, outside, faintly, from the woods beyond the station. The sound of something breathing. Every year since, a pumpkin appears on the edge of town. It always has a new face. Last Halloween, it had mine. Southwest, if you ever drive through Raven County, and your GPS freezes, don't look for shortcuts. Don't follow the middle road. Because the hollow road is always hungry. And this year, it might be waiting for you. A full year had passed since I escaped the hollow road. Every Halloween, I locked myself inside my apartment, lights off, curtains drawn, pretending the world outside didn't exist. But this year felt different. The wind carried whispers again. Phones glitched across town. People heard their names from empty rooms. And then, 2 days before Halloween, Sheriff Reed called. "They're back," he said. "Pumpkins. Dozens. In the town square." I drove back to Raven County against every instinct I had. The town looked normal at first, kids in costumes, candy stores lit up, laughter echoing. But beneath it all was tension. Everyone kept glancing toward the forest. Toward where the road used to be. At the station, Reed showed me the evidence board. Photos of new pumpkins, each carved differently, yet all with the same impossible detail. You could see muscle lines, teeth, wrinkles. They weren't decorations. They were faces. "Same as last year," he muttered. "Except now they're moving closer to town." That night, we set up cameras around Main Street. I started recording narration for the show, documenting everything, trying to stay calm. Then the power went out. The streetlights flickered once, then died. The whole town fell into darkness. And from somewhere beyond the fog came a familiar voice, whispering through every turned-off radio, every phone speaker, every car alarm. "Leave your faces behind." The pumpkins began to glow. The harvest. Screams filled the night. Windows shattered as something invisible moved through the streets. People ran, but the fog followed, thick and alive. I saw shapes forming inside it, outlines of the missing. Ryan. Sophie. Dylan. They weren't ghosts anymore. They were hollow, glowing from within, their carved grins wider than human mouths should be. Sheriff Reed fired his shotgun, the sound vanished instantly, swallowed by the fog. He turned to me. "Evan, go. It wants me, not you." But it wasn't true. The hollow road didn't want one person. It wanted everyone who remembered it. Street by street, pumpkins sprouted from the ground, roots cracking through pavement. Each one blinked open, human eyes staring out for a moment before turning to flame. I ran toward the outskirts, but the road appeared ahead, smooth, dark, endless, like it had been waiting all along. The skull-masked figure stood in the middle, holding Reed's badge in one hand. "You told the story," it said in a voice that sounded like 1,000 whispers layered together. "Now everyone knows. The more they hear, the hungrier we become." It stepped closer. The fog wrapped around me, cold as ice. My camera light flickered, catching glimpses, faces in the mist, friends, strangers, even myself, reflected back at me. Then I realized it wasn't fog. It was breath. The road was alive. I dropped the recorder and screamed into the night. The last thing I saw was the skull mask leaning over me, placing something heavy on my chest. A pumpkin. When the sun rose, Raven County was silent. No people. No cars. Only rows of pumpkins lined neatly down Main Street, each one carved with a perfect human face. Weeks later, a cleanup crew found my recorder half buried in the soil. The final file was corrupted, except for one line that somehow survived. Some stories feed on being told. Since then, every Halloween night, Hidden Frequencies receives an upload from an unknown sender. A clean, professional recording. My voice. Telling a new story. But I haven't been alive since that night. So if you're hearing this broadcast, turn off your lights. Stay away from the window. Because the hollow road doesn't need to find you anymore. It's already inside your signal.